Hi, ladies, and welcome to this interview with Traci Johannson. You are going to love what you're going to hear here. She's got a lot of really cool things to share with you, and she's got an amazing company to talk about as well. So, Traci, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the girls and tell them a little bit about what it is that you do?
Well, hi, and thank you so much for having me. I absolutely love your organization and what you are accomplishing. It's very inspirational for me, and so yes, I absolutely love it. So my name is Traci. I am the CEO and co-founder of Three Sons Foods. I work with my sons, my three teenage sons, so they are also the owners of the company. And we manufacture and distribute a creamy cilantro sauce called Diablo Verde. And so it's been great. We actually started our company as a fundraiser. So a portion of our proceeds are donated for rhino conservation efforts. And we're working on bringing a new sauce to market that will be called Diablo Vegan, and that will be to help wolf conservation.
Very cool. Sorry, I've got a train that's going in the background, so that's why
I understand that.
So tell me, have you always wanted to go into the food industry, or what really was it really just wanting to do the conservation and do a fundraiser thing, and that's what spurred things, or is this something that was always kind of in the back of your mind, like I'd like to do?
Yeah. So I love animals. I have a deep passion for, keeping the animals that we have. There's no reason that they need to be killed for a horn that is made out of the same thing as your fingernails. There's no, can go on and on about rhinos, but it was actually my middle son. And so he would have birthday parties, and in lieu of gifts, he would ask for donations for rhinos. And then at the same time, I had this amazing sauce. So one thing I have been passionate about really since, I was a teenager is healthy eating. And so we kind of merged his passion of rhinos and my passion of food. And so after about 5 years of those birthday parties, I turned to him and I said, listen, why don't we start selling Mom's creamy cilantro sauce? And back then we called it Salsa de Diablo Verde. Now we've just shortened it to Diablo Verde. And I said, why don't we start selling Mom's creamy cilantro sauce to raise even more money for rhinos? And so that was just Luke and I. So Luke and I started it first. And if you can see this one. So Luke is that one right there. So we started it first, and about 6 weeks into it, we realized, I thought we could make a business out of this. So we brought his two brothers on board and said, if you help us launch Diablo Verde, then when time comes and we bring in new products, we'll help, it'll benefit your favorite animal. So that's why, so my oldest son, Aiden, loves wolves. And that's, a lot of people will ask us, how did a 6th and 7th generation Texan family start supporting something in Africa? But that mindset is very limiting. We are a global community, and so if we lose rhinos, that affects all of us. And but I do feel that Texans will enjoy helping wolves, because the sanctuary that we're donating to is St. Francis Wolf Sanctuary in Montgomery. So.
Oh, that's very cool. Very, very cool. So for one of the things I'm seeing on the wall behind you, since you pointed out some stuff on the wall, are awards and recognitions. So what has maybe been the favorite, or the award that stands out the best?
So with each award, it helped us take a step further in our company. So of course, the first award that we got was from the Chili Pepper magazine contest, and that was amazing, right? I mean, yeah. For someone to give your sauce, something that you've created, an award, that is amazing. Each award means so much to us, and with each award we were able to take a step further, because a lot of times when you win awards, there's media coverage, and when there's media coverage, you get to influence more people. But I have to say, HEB Quest for Texas Best, we won grand prize for that in 2019, just less than a year ago. And that has really had a huge impact on our business. And, of course, we were DSD delivering to 12 HEBs when we got into the contest. And so now next week, we're going to be an additional 60. So we're going to be in, let me do the math, like 240 HEBs throughout Texas. So right now we're in 170. So it's really, did I do the math on that right? If not, whatever it is. So sorry, because we have an additional like 25 mom and pops, but no, that has had a dramatic effect. And then they made a commercial out of us. And so that's been huge for us. And they've been really a great company and very supportive of us.
And that's incredible. And congratulations on that. I mean, those are huge accomplishments,
Thank you.
I mean, each one of them, but then too, the HEB Quest for the Best, that's an incredible feather in your cap for sure.
Yeah.
So, and then how you talked about how each contest that you won, helped increase your influence and everything. How then was that to figure out how to fulfill those needs, those orders that were coming in? Like, how do you do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the first 2 years, so we'll be 3 years in July. So really the first 2.5 years, because there was 6 months between when it was a fundraiser to when we were a legal business. So because whenever you create a business, there's, you do an LLC and things like that. But when you bring to market a food product, you have to do shelf life studies, and you have to make sure that you're meeting all the regulations of the state of Texas and FDA or whatever it is, depending on if you have meat in your product or not. We're vegetarian, not vegan currently, but yeah. So hold on. The question was
How did
I fulfill the orders?
Yeah.
Okay, so we actually were in the kitchen ourselves. So first of all, not our kitchen. A lot of people still think we make it out of our own kitchen. We made it out of our own kitchen when it was a fundraiser, but legally, when you're a business and you're selling product at like a farmer's market or a store, you cannot work in your own home. So we had to rent a commercial kitchen. So, I mean, really with each step of the business, you just you ask questions, you research. I mean, thank God that we have the internet now, because I don't have to go to the library and look things up like they did 50 years ago, right? I can really just, click on the internet, and then, you meet other entrepreneurs that are either in your field or, if it's just a clear, like, how do you do business, this or that. There's always people that you can ask, and I'm not afraid to ask. And I received a ton of help from different people. Sweet Taste of Texas, she was awesome. Just people that didn't know me, and I would just call them and go, hey, I'm starting this business. Can you give me advice? And there's always people out there, and I do that to people all the time. I'm like, yes, I will sit down with you. I don't know you, but I will sit down with you and give you as much advice as I can, because people did that for me. And without that, I wouldn't be here.
See, that's amazing. And it's something that's good to remember too, is that it's like, one, to not be afraid to ask questions. And then two, the fact that it is a community, and it's a collaborative community, not so much competition and cutthroat, that kind of thing, what a lot of people think.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's you're a teacher, right? So there's no stupid questions, right?
Exactly. So for any of our girls that are out there who are thinking like, well, hey, I think I'd like to go into like a food service kind of company, to either start one, or like, I think I've got a product that I'd like to sell. What does it take to do this, to bring that idea to market?
The main thing that it takes is to not to listen to anybody that doesn't believe in your dream. They don't see your vision. They don't see your vision. There are a ton of salsas on the market. There's a ton of salsas.
Right.
I mean, this is actually a really difficult part of the business to break into, because the saying here in Texas is everybody with the pot and a spoon has a salsa, we actually, our salsa is different than the rest, because first of all, there's a ton of red salsa. The green salsa market is a lot more narrow. And then we're creamy cilantro sauce. A lot of the others are tomatillo, things like that. So, I heard one thing I remember is the manager of the ice rink, because my oldest plays hockey. I was kind of talking to her about my idea, and she was like, well, you're going to have to rent a commercial kitchen. I mean, you have to do all this stuff and da-da-da. And I was like, yeah. And then I thought, well, I love what she does. And it's like, she does a great job managing that ice rink, but that's not who I want to be.
Right.
So why would I listen to advice from someone that I don't want to emulate?
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate what she does. I think she does a great job. She's really great at what she does, but that's not what I want to do. So take advice from people that you look up to and listen to them. But even if they're successful and they don't see your vision, it's okay. Believe in yourself. So that's the main thing. And of course, then there's, you have to, once you have a great product, you have to create the label. You have to make sure that you have the nutritional facts. You go to labs, you send your product to a lab, and the shelf life study is done through Dr. Wagner, usually here in Texas. That's kind of the main guy over at A&M. And then, basically, if any of the young ladies are interested in this, there are different steps, and I can actually post that. But if I went into it right now, it would bore you. but yeah, shelf life studies, creating the label. We went to 99 Designs to create Diablo here, who I really think is quite cute, because if I was into green guys, he would be my guy. Actually, I do kind of, I'm a single mom, and I do say, I already have a boyfriend. He's green. He doesn't fight me for the remote. And whatever I give into, like whatever I put into the relationship, I get back. So it's a great relationship.
Perfect. Yeah. But I think that's awesome. I mean, I think that's great. Like giving some of those pieces that are part of taking that food to market that a lot of times, we don't think about. The whole, the shelf life study, the nutritional label, having to send it off, all of that. There's a lot to that. So ladies, if that is something that you are looking to do and you want more information about that, be sure to down in that comment section to let her know, ask questions, that kind of thing.
And just to let you know, we're working on, so during COVID, we're not able to demo at stores anymore. So we changed our marketing plan, and now we're doing YouTube videos. So at first it was 5 videos a week, recipe videos. And so now what we're doing is we're doing about, 3 or 4 recipe videos, and then some kind of behind the scenes, because people are really interested in these questions that you're asking me. How does it all work? So next week, we're going to be releasing a video of us doing a DSD, like a direct deliver to an HEB. So that's just one aspect of the business. And it took us that day probably 2 hours. Because we had 3 different shelves to stock and things like that. Of course, the video is not going to be that long. But, another thing that we're going to do is we're going to release a video when we're able to socially distancing go to our co-packer, and that's the person that makes our sauce. So after we used to make it at the commercial kitchen and we got into our second HEB, I knew physically we wouldn't be able to keep up with the demand. And so I either had to look at opening up our own kitchen, like buying my own commercial kitchen and then managing, whole staff, or outsourcing the making of our product. And so that company is called a co-packer. I have an amazing co-packer. The kitchen's extremely clean and organized, and they make our sauce. So I've asked them to do next week, they're making us a batch. I've asked to go in there with our cameras and things like that. And so if the cases of COVID are down enough, then we will be able to, with, of course, masks and gloves and hairnets and, the whole 9 yards. So, if you go onto our YouTube channel, you can see some behind the scenes, and we're trying to incorporate more of that. But our ABC interview shows us in the kitchen. The ABC and the NBC interview shows us in the kitchen making the sauce. And that was, early days how we started.
And I think that's really great that you bring up like the current situation right now. Because of the fact that in order for any company to remain alive and afloat and to be able to get past moments of crisis, is that you have to be flexible.
Yes.
So, ladies, that's one thing to really kind of pick up on is, and it's not just if you have a business, it's also like if you're an employee within a company, is having that flexibility to roll with the changes that are going to happen, because nothing stays the same, and being able to change and adapt is a phenomenal skill to have, and
Yes.
really leads for success. So kudos to you to finding the way to do that, so that's amazing.
And yeah, and it's been great.
That's awesome. So what do you think has been, because there sounds like, especially since you're 3 years old, so still relatively new and everything, what do you think has been the biggest struggle for you, and then how have you handled that?
So I am a very motivated person, and we set a lot of goals. I set personal goals, I set business goals. And so, every day I do feel like I'm pushing an 18-wheeler up a hill, and, but that's self-induced, right? So I have been working 7 days a week for a long time. And so that is starting to catch up with me. So now I'm really taking steps to work on the business and not in the business.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just hired our bookkeeper as more of an assistant, and so that has been great, training her and seeing that I can delegate more and I don't have to do everything myself. So
That's so huge, I think, especially for women, but so huge is delegating, the realization that we don't have to do it all. So that's kudos to you again for like realizing that and then taking those steps to do that.
yeah. So what is I think it's Maria Shriver that said you can have it all, but maybe not at the same time.
Exactly. You can have it all, just little stages of it. So, and you've mentioned previously in our conversation about other products that are coming down the line. So are there, like you've said, I believe, I can't remember if it was before or after we started recording, the vegan salsa, but are there other, what are some of the other products that you guys are thinking about, if you can share?
Yeah. No, I mean, we have tossed around, a lot of people want us to come out with a red sauce. One of our most favorite recipes that people use our current sauce for is enchiladas. So we've kind of thought about frozen enchiladas, but right now our product is shelf stable. So this can be kept, like we have a room that we keep this in, like it's a separate room, and it's air conditioned and things like that. If we had frozen enchiladas, it would add a complexity to our delivery system, to our distribution system, and an extra, an extra cost. So I would love to come out with a frozen product. I just, that's a hurdle that we will jump across when we get there.
Absolutely. And it's, again, that's really interesting to think about, like almost like the domino effect of, you've got an idea, and then just like, well, how that has a huge implication on your kitchen, on your delivery system, on, where are you going to store it and everything. So yeah, that's good things to think about for sure.
Yeah.
What has been the most rewarding part of doing this?
Oh, huge. I mean, I can certainly say that being in business with a 12-year-old, 15-year-old, and 17-year-old, and remember, we started this about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. So they were quite young, and saying like, this is what we're going to do. And someday we're going to be on the shelves of HEB. And, every time we have won an award, or we were on 2020 for a total of 5 seconds. Yeah. And so anything's like, all those things that have happened to us, we've done it together. And then my kids have seen, the vision come true. And that is huge, because I'm teaching them about business, and they're seeing the huge, I always say, like, visualize and it will come true.
Yes.
And, one of my favorite books is The Alchemist, and it's an amazing book. It's an easy read. And yeah, I absolutely love that book. And it's all about visualizing what you want, and it just happens, And so, yeah, for them to see that come true is huge, a huge lesson for them.
I bet.
Very powerful.
It is. And the visualization piece, ladies, it's kind of like, to give like, I guess like an analogy, the way that it was explained to me about that is, say like you get a new car, like this is the biggest thing. It's like your family gets a new car, and prior to getting this new car, let's say, it's we'll pick, just because I drive it, it's a Toyota Highlander. You know, prior to my owning a Toyota Highlander, I never saw them on the streets. Now that I own one, I see them everywhere. It's kind of that thing of like, if you visualize, you know, so I visualize it. I visualize this car that I drive. And now when I'm looking out in the world, that's all that's popping up, is because that's what I'm focused on now. And that's the same kind of thing with, like you said, with your goals and your vision of what you're wanting to do. If there are things that you want to accomplish, really visualizing it, having a vision board kind of thing. And you start seeing those things popping up, your mind starts to focus on it. And it really is a very, very powerful tool. So that's amazing that they're getting to live that as well. So it makes it even bigger impact. So that's awesome. So how is this, you know, you started this out as a fundraiser, and everything. How is this now different than you ever imagined it would be?
So now I spend a lot more time in front of my computer. So I think I didn't visualize like this part of the day to day, because I'm such a people person. I love to be out there. But yeah, so I think that's just a little different. But no, I mean, I feel definitely, you know, being an entrepreneur is always who I have been. And I do feel like I am where God intended me to be.
Well, that is so cool. I mean, that's always a very fulfilling feeling, is when you finally kind of found your sweet spot. Like,
Yeah.
this is it. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations on everything that you have accomplished with your company. Ladies, be sure that you scroll down below the video. We've got a written portion of her interview as well. And then for any of those questions or comments that you want to leave for Traci, there's that comment section. Put it down there, and we will be sure to let her know when you start doing that. And she will come back and answer those questions. Until then, thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, guys.